way I work is I talk to a director usually before they go out to shoot the movie. So a year in advance of actually going in and recording this stuff, some conversation happens about the intention, why we want to do this movie, how we want to do this movie. And then something happens. The director goes off to shoot the movie. And that is basically the director is going to battle. The director goes to war and he comes back wrecked, 3-4 months later. I mean, he has now answered 1,000 million insane, trivial questions. He's been thinking on his feet all the time. Things have gone wrong. The money's run out. It rained on the day he needed sunshine, and it was sunny on the day he needed rain. So by the time he comes back into my room, he's a changed man. And the other thing that happens is he might not quite remember why we wanted to go and make this movie in the first place, because he's bloodied and beaten and exhausted. And so part of my job, I always see this as part of my job, is that the first conversation we have when he returns from battle is that I remind him why we wanted to go and do this thing in the first place. And then I remind him of some of the instincts and some of the things that we wanted to do, and the things that we were looking forward to doing, and just sort of remind him why this is actually a good idea. Speak in plain English if you can, and if they're German, speak in German. No, just use your words. It's like what they teach you as a kid. Use your words and don't get technical. Don't make it into a technical conversation about A minor seventh chord and augmented chords and triads, and don't have the conversation, which is one I'm prone to, where I get nerdy and I go, "Ooh, I want to go and use a Moog 55 because," and I can get all nerdy about this. Or should we record this on real tape, or should we do this digitally? And I can get all carried away in this, and it has nothing to do with anything. This is the sidebar that I'm going to have with my guys, my technicians, etc., or I have with myself. And then because all you want to do is you want to present a piece of music or a sound. I mean, sometimes it's just a sound, and you want to go, what do you think? Cool sound? Is this right for this movie? Does this feel right? Does this work with the images? And nobody cares how you got there. Sometimes, with Gore Verbinski, he'll go from the dominant chord to the tonic or something like this. And you go, Gore, come on, it's like, let me rock out here. Being that specific about it, he robs himself of the possibility of being surprised, of something happening that, I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to get from, a question to an answer, or he's trying to get into a new thing. And might there be a more surprising and interesting way of doing it? Temp music is everybody keeps going on about, temp music is ruining creativity, temp music is ruining our movies, etc. Yeah, and I've had it where a director, I'm not going to name names or the movie, but where a director screened a movie with music from a previous one of my films on it, and the screening went through the roof. I mean, way beyond expectation. And so after that, because of the success of this screening, I was suddenly caught in the situation where he wanted exactly what I had done before for another movie. And first of all, you don't want to do what you've done for another movie. That belongs to that movie. So I realized that successful temp can stop any forward motion and creativity. And you just have to fight it. I mean, remember temp music, one of the problems with temp music is they're all finished tracks, and you can pick the best scores and the best music ever written, and just line one up after the other. I mean, my editor, Bob Bellamy, once put Samuel Barber's Adagio for strings up as temp music, and everybody loved it. And I was just going, what are you trying to do, kill me? You know, yes, 2 weeks later, I'm still trying to write something as good as that. You know, I had to cancel orchestra sessions, literally. I mean, and, you know, the burden of that was just so impossible. So I'm recommending to do what we've been doing more and more, which is not use temp music at all. With Chris Nolan, I mean, I think everybody knows this, he doesn't like using temp music. He wants things which are written for his movie, even if they're not finished, even if they're just like little yellow postage stamps you put on a fridge, which just have a bit of a tune on them, but it's just off that movie. If you can start early enough and you have a good music editor and you guys can just work hand in hand, there's no real reason you need to go and put a temp on. If you know how to use a computer, if you know how to use synthesizers, if you know how to basically fake up the sound of the score. The ideal situation to have is if, and maybe we should talk about this for a second. For me, the ideal situation to be in is that the director, the editors, and we're all in the same building. So, we don't do this thing where, can you come by on Friday at 3:00 and have a meeting? And then there's either very little to play, which is a bit of a disappointment, or there's far too much to play to have a serious discussion about it. So if we can just see each other every day. I mean, right now, this was the Gladiator cutting room you're in, and my room was actually next door. And so, we just walk into each other's room. And I mean, one of the things that's important to me is to just be able to walk in. In the old days, I would literally walk into the cutting room and just pick up a bit of film, that they'd cut off, and just sort of touch it. Just to remind myself what the movie is we're working on. So there's all this, there's experimentation time going on all the time. Ron Howard always thinks of the way this room works. It's like the laboratory. And even when we run out of time, I mean, he always, just as he's leaving, he always says, Hans, make sure that we don't shut the laboratory doors too soon, because there's deadline here and it's a brick wall and we're hurtling towards it. But we have to have the luxury to experiment and try these things. And, were it not for the last second, none of it would have been written.